All right, we're going to be starting in a couple of minutes, so if you could find your seats, particularly the stray council members. Before we begin, a couple quick public service announcements. If for an emergency, please note the exits on either side of the chambers and proceed down the stairs. The bathrooms are located out the door to my left, your right, the women's room to the right, the men's room to the left. We allow 30 minutes for public speaking. If you have not done so already, please sign up at the podium, or if you're joining us through Zoom, you could sign up through Zoom chat. I'm now calling this Common Council meeting to order at 7:36 p.m. on January 10th, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. May I please have roll call?
Alderman Hill.
Here.
Alderman Frankel. Alderman Scott Childress.
Here.
Alderman Worthington.
Here.
Alderman Muhammad.
Here.
Alderman Davis.
Excused. Oh, nope, he's on video. Gave a thumbs up, he's
Okay.
here.
Alderman Oliveri.
Here.
Alderman Shabbat.
Excused.
Alderman Hirsch.
Here. We have a quorum. Can I have a motion to dispense with the minutes of the previous meeting and approve same? Motion by Michael Oliveri, second by Rennie Scott Childress. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted 8-0. Have a motion to dispense with the reading of the general bills. Motion by Rennie Scott Childress, seconded by Michael Oliveri. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted 8-0. We're now entering into the organizational report of committees, which is resolutions 1 through 4. Can I have resolution 1, please?
Resolution 1 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for adopting the tentative order of business for the year 2023.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution number 2, please.
Resolution 2 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for adopting the rules of the council for the year 2023.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 3, please.
Resolution 3 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for designating the Daily Freeman as the official newspaper of the City of Kingston for the year 2023.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Resolution it passes 6-2. Moving to resolution 4, please.
Resolution 4 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for receiving the mayor's message.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. At this time, on behalf of the Common Council, I welcome Mayor Steve Noble to Chambers and ask him to come up to deliver his 2023 State of the City address. Mayor Noble, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the Common Council for the opportunity.
How's that? All right. Well, again, welcome, Jen, and thank you. I also want to take a moment to also thank my family who's here with me tonight and for all of the support you provide each and every day. And the last year has been a really busy year, and so I appreciate your support. And my son has a cold, and so he's actually home watching with on YouTube. So. Hey, Matthew. As we embark on this new year, it's so important to be able to look back and to reflect on the challenges as well as our accomplishments. It's been a busy year here in the city of Kingston. We have made considerable progress in areas of housing, sustainability, and infrastructure. We achieved some years in the making goals, and I'll get to those, but I do also want to take a moment to talk about the challenges that we faced along the way. One of my idols has always been John F. Kennedy, not just because he was the 35th president of the United States, but I also happen to be the 35th mayor of the city of Kingston. But it was because of his character and because of his ability to evoke in each American a sense of duty to their country and to their community. President Kennedy said, "If not us, who? If not now, when?" This call to action was first used over 2,000 years ago in ancient Babylon, and more recently by President Obama. And I believe it is as relevant today as it was 2 millennia ago. As we all know, the pandemic has left lingering effects, from supply chain shortages to rapid and steep inflation to mental health issues on a level we've not seen before. We may continue to see these and other aftershocks for months and years to come. But the resilience of the people who live and work in our community, who have been willing to step up and help one another, has been deeply heartening. The people of Kingston have delivered meals, provided diapers and formula, advocated for more housing, lifted up the voices of others, and have supported their fellow neighbors in countless ways. Our Director of Health and Wellness was an early founder of the Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative, which at the height of the pandemic was delivering hundreds of meals a week and continues on a smaller scale today. Her office expanded in 2022, allowing her to continue to support the Collaborative and other local food providers. Each day, she and her team work to be able to create food sovereignty so that every resident has abundant access to healthy food. When the February ice storm knocked out power for 47,000 Ulster County residents during the frigid temperatures of February, some were forced to take shelter at the Andy Murphy Neighborhood Center. The city's own director of IT volunteered with the Red Cross and spent the night at the rec center, helping the team to house and feed our displaced. Many hands worked together to make sure neighbors were warm and that we had no loss of life. Just before Christmas, one of our Parks and Recreation employees awoke in the middle of the night and saw a fire engulfing a neighbor's home. Without hesitation, after calling 911, he and his wife ran over and began pounding on the doors and the windows to alert the family inside. Placing themselves in danger, he and his wife were able to save multiple lives that night. These examples remind me that although our nation is divided politically and ideologically, locally here on the community level, we are working together to meet the basic needs of each other. Last year, a brand new state-of-the-art hospital opened in Kingston. In order to heal, a community must have access to health care, and we are proud of this $100 million investment in our community's well-being. Together, we are healing, and we are helping others to heal. In 2016, I gave my first State of the City address. In that address, I said, I believe the greatest resources our city has is its people. Within Kingston lies a community, one which wants to be engaged and one which has shown time and time again, when our community mourns, we mourn together. When our community thrives, we all thrive. I am happy to report that in the 7 years since I shared those sentiments, I have seen firsthand that our greatest resources are our people. And whether we are comfortable with it or not, Kingston is growing. We have experienced an influx of newcomers in the last few years. Since the beginning of my first term in 2016, my administration has been working to make Kingston welcoming and inclusive. These qualities made Kingston appealing to those seeking to relocate before, during, and after the pandemic. These new residents are now our friends and neighbors. They shop, they dine, they volunteer, they go to school and attend church. No matter where we started, we are all part of the fabric of this community. To accommodate this growth, we must make sure that we are conserving our natural resources, transforming our historical and industrial assets into vibrant places to work and live, and growing in a smart and sustainable way. One of the biggest opportunities for growth is the zoning code update. Our existing zoning code has not been updated since the 1960s. We live in a very different time from when this code was enacted. Our outdated zoning code has caused confusion, frustration, litigation, redlining, and arbitrary regulations. With the new form-based structure, this code will be easier to understand and use and will balance our goals for preservation, equity, and sustainable growth. It will better meet the needs of a walkable, neighborhood-oriented city. This year, under the new code, we expect exciting redevelopments to take shape, including the Barrel Factory, which will be converted to artist live workspaces in Midtown Kingston, along with the potential for 100 new housing units. The old Kings Inn site will be redeveloped into a new multi-use housing and retail space at the center of Broadway that could provide almost 60 housing units. The former Ulster County Jail has also been re-envisioned as workforce and senior housing and will create 160 new housing units right here in Kingston. And I want to thank the county for their efforts. This week, the city will finalize our redistricting process based on the 2020 census data. With the help of professional mappers, the council has been redrawing the wards to accommodate the population changes we've had. With one of the options, Plan C, I believe with the opportunity to make our city more equitable, diverse, and more inclusive through this new ward map. So you can please put me down as a fan of Plan C. Growth is challenging. It requires cooperation and compromise. The alternative is stagnation, and that is not acceptable. Kingston is at a point in time where change is inevitable. Our possibilities are endless. Our challenges may loom large, but I firmly believe that this is our moment. To achieve this great potential we see in our future, we must unite to heal, grow, and thrive in the days, months, and years ahead. Yet, as we all know, not all of us embrace change as easily as others. Some are reluctant to take leaps forward. Some prefer to sit on properties, leaving them vacant rather than putting them to good use for the benefit of our community and economy. The many lawsuits and bad faith actions thrown our way have been intended to exhaust the time of city employees, waste taxpayer dollars, and impede our ability to grow. And yet, we saw dozens of new small businesses open across Kingston last year. These are community members who are working to provide goods and services, who are creating jobs, who are revitalizing our neighborhoods, and who are creating vibrant storefronts in our own business districts. They are investing in Kingston because they believe in Kingston. They are the energy, and this is the energy and the effort we need to make Kingston a successful city. We as a city also must invest in ourselves, and that is exactly what we did in 2022. Last year, we added 2 positions in the engineering department, and since then have been able to move projects forward that were unable to proceed before. We completed the Franklin Street Complete Streets project, which makes a busy thoroughfare to the elementary school, library, and the Hodge Center safer for everyone, especially our school children. We reconstructed 3 municipal parking lots in Midtown for better accessibility, built responsibly with green infrastructure practices that help reduce stormwater runoff to our local waterways. This year, we finished repairs to the Elmendorf Street Bridge and reopened this important passageway in Midtown. What better representation of this vitality, investment, and growth of our city than the Broadway Streetscape Project, a years in the planning project that came to beautiful fruition last year. The vision to build a better Broadway began many years ago, and after thoughtful strategic planning, a vibrant streetscape was born. All of this investment and revitalization in Midtown, particularly in the Ward 4 area, I hope will support businesses, community organizations, and residents and help them thrive well into the future. One of the first things I learned as mayor is that there's no Democratic or Republican way to fix a pothole. A pothole is a pothole, and everyone wants them fixed today. The job of mayor is to work for everyone in a community, regardless of political affiliation. But while we're on the subjects of potholes, last year, the Department of Public Works filled many potholes. DPW laid 16,000 tons of blacktop, encompassing 25 streets and 9 miles of roadways across the city. This year, we are committing over $1 million in accessibility improvements to install 136 ADA compliant corner ramps across the city. DPW will also be improving the sidewalks at the Uptown parking lot on North Front Street next to Nico's to better serve our residents and visitors. This year, the city will move forward with an $800,000 Sterling Street sewer repair and replacement project and will finalize plans for multiple Midtown sewers. Once these costly sewer projects are completed, the streets above can then be paved and further improved to enhance the quality of life of our Midtown residents. This year, we will begin construction on the Henry Street Complete Streets project, another streetscape initiative along a well-traveled route that is especially important to young students headed to and from George Washington Elementary School. At the end of 2022, we experienced yet another reminder of how vulnerable our waterfront areas are to sea level rise and tidal flooding. The city has put in place a coordinated riverfront flooding response plan, which went into swift effect during the last event. We were able to take preventative measures to protect city properties, neighbors, and local businesses. But we also know that these occurrences will only become more frequent. Tackling large projects such as repairing our aging sewer system help us combat climate change on a local level. Last year, we broke ground on a $10 million infrastructure project at our wastewater treatment plant to rebuild our outfall and improve our equipment in an effort to minimize the impact to the Roundout Creek. We expect that this project will be completed this year. On our downtown waterfront, we also have plans for infrastructure improvements, including electrical upgrades at TR Gallo Park and the repair and replacement of the city dock system. We will begin the design of the Kingston Point Park Phase 2 project, which will address the persistent flooding at Kingston Point, which I know all of you that use the dog park experience every day. All of this work continues to weave our waterfront, improving access, safety, and resiliency. We have to mend these roads, repair these 100-year-old pipes, and replace outdated facilities in order to prosper. Though it may not be glamorous, these investments in our vital infrastructure keep our community strong enough to grow and healthy enough to thrive. We know the outdoors have played a big part in our healing process. We are so fortunate to be living at the foot of the Catskills, next to the majestic Hudson River, along the Roundout and Esopus Creeks, and we have so many beautiful public parks across Kingston. In 2022, the first state park in the city of Kingston was officially opened. Sojourner Truth State Park connects the Hudson River Brickyard Trail, the Empire State Trail, and the Kingston Green Line, and has incredible views of the Hudson. This park will continue to evolve over the next few years and will not only serve as an economic driver for our community, but will be a beloved natural asset for generations. I thank Scenic Hudson for their stewardship of the land and New York State Parks for creating an oasis right here in our very own backyard. Our own Kingston Parks and Recreation Department has been a refuge for many these last few years and for the decades prior. We have continued to invest in staffing and equipment in the department, and it shows. In addition to the hundreds of children served by our parks programs, the dozens of sports leagues, and the wonderful community events, we were also able to build a new shade structure at Van Buren Street Park, a brand new playground at Kingston Point Beach, our first ever youth soccer field, and an environmentally sound parking lot at Kingston Point using green infrastructure. We installed a 49 kW solar panel array on the Andy Murphy Neighborhood Center, which will produce enough electricity to power the entire building. This year, due to the rising popularity of pickleball, we will be investing in a new pickleball court at Lauren Park, as well as making sure that we have free Wi-Fi and safety cameras at all of our parks. On the sustainability front, we will be implementing a citywide electric bike share program. We will be solarizing additional park facilities. We will begin on a $3.25 million investment in heating, cooling, and energy efficiency upgrades to the Andy Murphy Neighborhood Center and right here in our very own City Hall, divesting these buildings from fossil fuels. This year, our community choice aggregation program, Kingston Community Energy, will launch, advancing the city toward independence and resilience. We will also hopefully adopt a community preservation plan, a roadmap for ensuring for our most precious land, whether it's historically, culturally, and environmentally, is protected for the future. And I'm pleased to announce that our sustainability and sanitation teams will launch phase 1 of our citywide organics diversion program. Starting this year, we will be offering 12 drop-off locations for composting across the city, reducing our waste stream heading to the landfill and saving taxpayer dollars. One of our most popular amenities in the city is Dietz Stadium. I'm proud to be committing a once-in-a-lifetime investment in Dietz with our partners at the Kingston City School District, which will get underway in earnest this year. Dietz is a true treasure to our community. The stadium hosts athletics and for both student athletics and the Stockade FC. Each day there are phys ed classes and boot camps and countless runners and walkers who use the track. It's a gathering place, and it's time we reinvest in this community asset. The Dietz Stadium Improvements Project will invest over $20 million into upgrades that will transform this complex into a regional draw, a modernized facility that we will be the pride of Kingston. Though Dietz will be closed while this transformation takes place, we know the results will be well worth it. And I can announce today that we will be converting an underutilized softball field in Upper Hasbrook Park into our first adult grass soccer field to meet a growing need here in Kingston. In 2022, we made much needed updates to the Andretta Pool, including a popular splash pad. This year, the pool will open for the summer with a major $1 million upgrade to the pool house. I can't wait for the public to be able to see these beautiful new facilities, and I'm excited to announce that the Andretta Pool will once again be free for Kingston residents this summer. Now, when writing this speech, I asked my 12-year-old son, Matthew, in the technology section, what should I say? He said, Dad, nobody uses the word technology anymore. Like it's the future. It's just normal life. Well, this year, I have plans to improve our normal life. This year, for the first time, Kingston will have a broadband fiber competitor to Spectrum that will bring cost savings and new opportunities to our residents. I would like to welcome Archtop Fiber to iPark 87 and look forward to your investment here in Kingston. This year, the City of Kingston's website will have a new look and will be much easier to navigate. Let me say that again. The City of Kingston is getting a new website. I think that this will be very welcome news to anyone who has visited our site recently. Along those lines, I'm happy to report that our Building Safety Department has launched an online permitting website, which will streamline the process of getting building permits to improve your home or property. The Building Safety Department has been very busy and has processed an astonishing 2,250 permits in 2022. The volume of building permits illustrates the incredible investment being made in our housing stock and our commercial buildings. When I first took office, we had just under 600 permits issued in 2016. Nearly every community has been affected by housing issues. There's a serious housing shortage in our country, and Kingston has been an extreme example. Even before the pandemic, I recognized that we needed more housing at every level and recognized the urgent need to protect Kingston tenants. Last year, we passed good cause eviction law to protect tenants from unfair evictions. Last year, we declared a housing emergency in the city of Kingston. We opted into the Emergency Tenant Protection Act and put in place additional protections for our tenants, the first community to do so in upstate New York. We also put into place short-term rental regulations. We offered a free landlord-tenant mediation program with our colleagues at the Dispute Resolution Center. And with RUPCO, we funded a grant program for landlords to be able to make improvements to their properties to benefit their current tenants. This year, we will continue those efforts and more. We will be providing free legal counsel with a new right to counsel program. We will be relaunching a landlord ambassador program, which will provide incentives to landlords to keep rents affordable in exchange for grants for essential repairs. We will continue to ensure that vacant city-owned properties are used to create new housing units. This includes close collaboration with RUPCO and the Kingston City Land Bank to create opportunities for affordable homeownership. We will also launch a new permanent housing trust fund to further encourage affordable housing development in our city. I am keenly aware of the housing shortage here in Kingston, and we are working with every tool and resource possible to help our residents. And speaking of tools, it's not every day that the federal government writes you as the city a $17 million check and says, do something good with it. That's exactly what happened with the American Rescue Plan Act funding, and I cannot wait to get these resources out into the community. This first wave of ARPA initiatives will get underway this month. We will be launching our business grants, which will be providing $10,000 to Kingston businesses. With $1 million available, we are excited to award 100 grants to our local small businesses in 2023. In the first quarter, we'll also be unveiling the process for local nonprofits to apply for recovery grants. We are also a city of special events and festivals, and for the first time, I'm excited to be able to financially support this economic engine for Kingston. This month, we will also launch a special events grant program to assist dozens of organizations and events this year. I need a drink. I told you we have a lot going on, so bear with me, we're almost through. Last year, we added more police officers to the Kingston Police Department and doubled down on our community policing efforts. In addition to walking beats, 11 officers completed bike patrol school and logged 380 hours on bikes. Our investment in public safety has paid off, and because of a partnership with the Ulster County Sheriff's Office and the Oracle team, we've been able to help reduce opioid deaths here in our city. I applaud the Kingston Police Department for their community policing efforts and commend their commitment to strengthening relations with the Kingston community. As the Kingston Police Department continues their efforts to curb crime, we've also added a dedicated in-house crime analyst to the KPD team. Last year, as part of the Heads Up Kingston traffic safety campaign, the police department worked closely with other city departments to educate the public on traffic rules and how to navigate new pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure. This year, officers will not only be educating drivers, but enforcing these rules, which were established to make us all safer and help protect cyclists and pedestrians from injury. This has never been more important. We lost a pedestrian and a bicyclist in the space of just 2 weeks to motor vehicle crashes. I cannot express how deeply saddened we are for these tragic losses, and I express my condolences to the family and their loved ones. I also cannot overstate how important transportation safety is to my administration. We will double down in our ongoing efforts to ensure that all users of our roadways and sidewalks can traverse safely. In the last year, the Kingston Fire Department answered 5,556 calls for service. With our expanding portfolio of open space and miles of trails, the fire department must access in emergency situations. We received grant funding, which added an all-terrain vehicle for trails and off-road areas, and will be adding a rescue boat to their fleet. The Kingston Fire Department has also been very patiently waiting for our new Engine 3, which will arrive, thankfully, this year. An initiative I'm very excited to be able to launch is the first mental health ambulance service in this state outside of New York City, and one of only a few in this country. We have purchased an ambulance for the Kingston Fire Department and have paired a dedicated EMT firefighter with a mental health crisis counselor to respond to emergency calls. This mobile mental health model will ideally reduce the instances of law enforcement needing to arrive at a mental health scene. I want to thank the Kingston Fire Department, Ulster County and Ulster County's Department of Mental Health, and our nonprofit partners at Access for their work on this critically important initiative. Though we have been through our fair share of challenges, we are thriving here in the city of Kingston. The state of our city is resilient and it is strong. We are a city of 24,000 residents. With smart fiscal planning, strong budgetary restraint, and with a current grants portfolio of $56 million, we have been able to heal, grow, and thrive. When I came into office in 2016, the city was managing just under $10 million in grants. Since then, we've received over $81 million in additional grant funding. Because of our successful grant writing, smart fiscal planning, and partnerships with the Common Council, we have been able to reduce the tax levy to a level not seen since before my administration in 2015. The Office of Grants Management is a prime example of how when city departments work together, partner with local organizations, and collaborate with other municipalities, we can get so much accomplished. We are reaching our goals, completing our projects, and bettering Kingston each day. And we are doing all of this without raising taxes. And I know that that is one issue I think we can all unite behind. My hope for 2023 is that we will strive for unity, that we will come together and continue our healing. Healing from the pandemic, from the political turmoil in our country, and healing from a period of isolation. I believe it's time for us to unify, to move our city forward, to ensure that Kingston is growing in a way that is smarter, more sustainable, more equitable, and with the entire community in mind. We are all, in the end, Kingstonians. In 2004, I had the opportunity on the campus of Syracuse University to see the great Maya Angelou speak. Her words and actions, which left an enduring mark on our world, also had a profound effect on me that day. But these words ring even more true today. She said, "Each one of us has lived through some devastation, some loneliness, some weather superstorm or spiritual superstorm. When we look at each other, we must say, I understand. I understand how you feel because I've been there myself. We must support each other, empathize with each other, because each of us is more alike than we are unalike. The people of Kingston are more alike than we are different. We share so many of the same values and hopes for the future. We all share a duty to one another. As we move forward in 2023, and as we aim to heal, grow, and thrive, we must support one another and truly work together to further our community." With that, thank you and good night.
Thank you very much, Mayor Noble. You are all welcome to join us for the exciting governing duties of the Kingston Common Council. However, if you must leave us, we will take a 5-minute recess. Just please do note, once we start back, it is very loud in the hallways. So do not remain in the hallways or in the stairwells chatting so that we could get to work. So I will see you back, council members, in 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Am I off your dirty list?
Friends, we're gonna get back to our meeting in a minute, so not to kick you out, but either if you could find your seats, or I guess I'm kicking you out. Council members and our page, if you could come back. You know where Joslina went? You know where Joslina is? All right, council members. Rennie Scott Childress, the floor. Rita Worthington, Barbara Hill. To the principal's office. All right, welcome back to session. Thanks for sticking around. We're now entering into the public speaking portion of the meeting. We have allotted 30 minutes for this purpose. Speakers will have 3 minutes. If there are remaining speakers after 30 minutes, I will call for a motion from the council to extend the period for another 30 minutes. Speakers, direct your comments to the chair, as council members cannot engage in debate during this time. Please state your name and address on the record before you address the council. For the audience in chambers and on Zoom, there shall be no distractions when a speaker is addressing the council. The Common Council has also received written comments for our consideration, and they can be found on the city's website under tonight's agenda. I think we're starting with the virtual speakers. So can I have the first speaker in Zoom, please?
Jean Jacobs.
Jean, if you could just hold on, we just have to unmute you on our side. Jean, are you?
Yes, I am.
All right, welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Jean Jacobs. I live at 139 Wall Street, Kingston, New York. I am a lifelong resident, and I'm here to speak this evening as a concerned citizen. Good evening, Madam President, members of the Common Council, and my community. I'm speaking this evening with regard to the ARPA funding that has been allocated to the City of Kingston in the amount of $17.3 million. The reason for my call this evening is because I'm extremely disturbed at a phone call I received the other day regarding a local resident that is freezing to death. Freezing meaning wearing coats and keeping temperatures at 50 degrees within the home. On March 11, 2021, President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan Act. The $1.9 trillion was intended to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, including the public and economic health and well-being of the people. Therefore, I'm reaching out to all the councilmen this evening. I did not hear Mayor say much about ARPA funding in his speech, but I can assure all of you, I have been engaged in this since 2021 with Summer Smith and the LaBrage Counseling or Consulting when they initially were brought on board. And I firmly believe that we are not following all of the guidelines that the mayor outlined this evening. And we must recognize the need to help people in peril that are suffering. And there are many counties and cities that are allocating money for fuel and other utilities. I am recommending that you take another look when you voted on this plan and public hearing that you held I read all from Hudson Valley 1, and I know many of the aldermen were not totally on board. I recognize you all go back in and evaluate it because the final rule was released in January 6th of 2022 by the United States Treasury. So Mr. Reynolds has an extraordinary amount he must follow and keep in
30
accordance with the
seconds.
guidelines. Okay, so in closing, please take this into consideration and revisit the American Rescue Plan funding for the city of Kingston and the residents that are in total need within their homes that are suffering. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jean. We will move to the speaker and councils, but if there's anybody in Zoom, who wants to speak, just raise your Zoom hand and the clerk will make note. But can we have the next speaker in chambers, please?
Scott Denny.
Glasses first, sorry about that. Good evening, Madam President, common council members, and the community at large. I find it extremely interesting as Mayor Noble came before the council and the residents of Kingston this evening in an effort to unite, heal, grow, and thrive. Let us not forget that not so many months ago, Mayor Noble referred to those whom were opposed to the Kingstonian as opponents. When he declared his victory, when he said, "Wow, we won," that certainly is not united when you say that to the media. As Mayor Noble came here this evening to seek unity, please let us not forget his shallow words and the division they have caused as we enter this new election year. Here are a few phrases that the residents of Kingston need to consider. First, the city of Kingston, I apologize. The city of Kingston remains without an active ethics board with 4 or more open complaints since 2016, leaving a violation of the public trust. Additionally, the city is currently riddled with unsafe conditions and violence as a result of failed safety policies that originate in the mayor's office with absolutely no reflection on the Kingston Police Department. I believe their hands are tied. As a very concerned resident of Kingston, I speak for myself when I say I have extremely deep concerns as it pertains to the future of the city of Kingston under the current leadership of Mayor Steve Noble. In closing, I would urge that all of the residents of Kingston get involved and speak for the betterment of the city of Kingston. I apologize, I'm blind. I would ask that every resident that it is okay to agree to disagree, yet find a common goal that will only help each and every resident as we move forward to reunite the city of Kingston as a one, because currently we are divided. Thank you for your time, Madam Speaker. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Anybody else wish to speak? Anybody else? Is there somebody in Zoom? What does that say? We have a speaker. We have a speaker on Zoom. Joslina, can you? Thank you. All right, next speaker, please.
Bravan Ranga.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, everybody. Huge thank you to the Common Council. Glad to be here during the first meeting of the year. And yeah, I just want to share some of the sentiments that were also expressed earlier. The fact that the city's taken historic strides towards addressing the housing crisis, whether that be passing landmark tenant protections last year, becoming the first municipality in the state outside of the New York City suburbs to enact rent stabilization. And now with this groundbreaking and form-based zoning code, a lot more is possible this upcoming year. I also want to echo some of the criticisms of some of these bad faith lawsuits that have been taken by some actors who want to waste public resources and scare city officials. And I think we can all join in condemning those lawsuits. I also wanted to discuss in more detail one component of the housing crisis, which is the issue of runaway vacation rentals. So much of the limited housing stock in Kingston is being taken up by short-term rentals where the owner doesn't live there, which I think is the key problem, right? The issue isn't owner-occupied short-term rentals, it's the ones where the owner doesn't live on the property. And what this does is it takes up housing that could be used by long-term residents and drives up prices for renters, but for first-time home buyers as well. And we really applaud the steps that the zoning code takes to ultimately build more housing in the city of Kingston. We're especially excited about the affordable and workforce housing requirements in the zoning code, because building more affordable housing is one of the important long-term solutions to addressing the housing crisis. But we do think that the city can go farther right now to ban non-owner occupied short-term rentals and free up our current housing stock, the housing that exists right now for folks that call Kingston home. The housing crisis is imminent, right? Folks are being squeezed out of their homes as we speak right now because they can't afford their rents or they can't find somewhere to live in the first place. And a huge contributor is so much of our housing stock being taken up by these vacation rentals where the host doesn't live there. And these folks can't afford to wait for us to build more housing. They need us to take action right now. And so I urge the council to use its power to amend the zoning code to explicitly ban
30 seconds.
short-term rentals. And I urge you to continue making history by taking much needed, bold action to address the housing crisis. Thanks so much, and glad to be working with everyone here for this upcoming year.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Hearing no more speakers, we will close public comment. We will close public comment now. We now enter into claims and communications. Hearing no discussion, they will be on file in the clerk's office. Can I get a motion to dispense with the second reading of the general bills and paying? Motion by Michael Oliveri, second by Rennie Scott Childress. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is adopted 8-0. We now re-enter into the report of committees, starting with resolution number 5.
Resolution 5 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, adopting payment receipt policy and repealing cash receipt policy.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution number 6, please.
Resolution 6 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for adopting the investment policy for the City of Kingston for the year 2023.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution number 7, please.
Resolution 7 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for transfers to the 2022 Corporation Council budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution number 8, please.
Resolution 8 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, correcting Resolution 222 of 2022, authorizing a 2022 transfer in the Department of Public Works in the amount of $39,869.81 to cover the expense of shortfalls and transfer funds from insurance recovery to operating accounts.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 9, please.
Resolution 9 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, endorsing support for Ulster County for a grant from the New York State Empire State Development Corporation for the ARC Mid-Hudson Boiler Building Removal Project in the amount of $91,800.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 10, please.
Resolution 10 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of this of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the Empire State Development ESD for a Restore New York grant in the amount of $2 million for CB Developers LLC's St. Joseph's Lofts project and to execute any and all related documents.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. I catch you off guard, go a little too fast there. Resolution 11, please.
Resolution 11 of 2023. An ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, adopting the fee schedule for the year 2023 as set forth by the Finance and Audit Committee as per attached.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 12, please.
Resolution 12 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to submit an application to Empire State Development for a Restore New York grant in the amount of $850,000 for Artport Kingston's relocation and to execute any and all related documents.
On the question? Hearing no debate, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution number 13, please.
Resolution 13 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to submit 3 applications to the New York State Department of Transportation for Bridge New York funding in the total amount of $1.5 million for the Twathskill Creek Culvert Upgrades Project and to execute any and all related documents.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 14, please.
Resolution 14 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for a transfer in the Health and Wellness Department in the amount of $44,791, with expenses being reimbursed by the New York State Department of Health, creating Healthy Schools and Communities Grant Project.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 15, please.
Resolution 15 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, approving the transfer of $72,264.16 in the fire department for the purchase and equipping of the mental health ambulance.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. You guys need a little more pep to your step with these ayes. Moving to resolution number 16, please.
Resolution 16 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing a request for a 2022 transfer in the Department of Public Works in the amount of $23,000 to cover shortfalls in various accounts.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is enthusiastically adopted 8-0. Thank you for that. Moving to resolution 17, please.
Resolution 17 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval of a 2022 transfer in the Parks and Recreation Department in the amount of $20,001 to balance accounts.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 18, please.
Resolution 18 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the return of the sum of $5,200 vacant building fees to Roundout Savings Bank, which sum was erroneously placed on the 2022 general tax bill for 371 Albany Avenue, SBL 48.302-2-19.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 19, please.
Resolution 19 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for a 2022 budget transfer in the Shade Tree account in the amount of $100 to cover the expense of cost overrun.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution number 20, please.
Resolution 20 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for a 2022 budget transfer in the Planning Department in the amount of $4,465 to cover the expense of budget shortfalls.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 21, please.
Resolution 21 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for the 2022 year-round budget transfer in the Police Department in the amount of $72,000.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 22, please.
Resolution 22 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for a 2022 budget transfer in the Comptroller's Office in the amount of $7,100 to reconcile accounts.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-0. Moving to resolution 23, please.
Resolution 23 of 2023. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, referring the Kingston Forward Form-Based Code for review to the City of Kingston Planning Board, the Ulster County Planning Board, and Historic Landmark Preservation Commission, and setting a public hearing.
On the question? Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to thank Dover Cole and our Director of Housing Initiatives, Bartek Stardash, for the immense amount of work that has happened in the last year in working on our form-based code. I am a full proponent of inclusionary zoning, and there's a lot that is really fantastic in the code and I think is really good for Kingston. But there is one piece of this form-based code that I cannot stand behind, which is using ADUs as short-term rentals. So I am going to be a no vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing no more discussion, Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
I would just like to clarify to anybody watching that this is not a vote on the program on the form-based code. This is simply sending it out to 3 agencies to get their feedback. So I'm not disagreeing with Alderwoman Hirsch, just letting folks know what's actually at stake here.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing no more discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 7-1. Moving to local law number 1, please.
Local Law 1 of 2023. Local Law of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, adding C7-7 to Article 7 of the Charter of the City of Kingston to adopt the 421-F property tax exemption for the creation of accessory dwelling units.
and the first reading of local law 2 of 2023.
Local Law 2 of 2023. Local Law 2 of 2023 of the City of Kingston, New York, prohibiting the use of toxic pesticides and herbicides on all lands maintained by the City of Kingston.
Thank you. This concludes our report of committees. Does anybody have anything? Alderman Rennie Scott Childress?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have something for closing.
That's where we are.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I thought I heard you say something different.
No, we're at closing.
Good.
So Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Thank you. I'd like to close in honor of Kevin Bishop of Linderman Avenue, who died on January 2nd at his home there on Linderman Avenue with his family by his side. He was born on a fateful day, December 7th, 1951 in Kingston. So he has lived here his entire life. He was the son of the late Dolores Bishop Wolf and John Wolf. Kevin worked for Buildings and Grounds for Ulster County. He was previously employed at UARC in transportation and as a welder at Conrail. He was an avid hunter and fisherman and a life member of the Lake Katrine Rod and Gun Club and the Ripton Sportsman Association. He's survived by his wife of 45 years, Doreen Bishop, his son Nicholas, and his wife Karen. He will be greatly missed. He was a real stalwart of the community, wonderful character. Many people loved him, and we will miss him.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing no one else, I will take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Rita Worthington, second by Rennie Scott Childress. All in favor? Opposed? And we hereby stand adjourned until the next regularly scheduled meeting on February 7th, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. Although we do have two special council meetings. As I was saying that, so the next meeting is a special council meeting on January 19th, 2023 at 7:30 p.m. So that's when I will see you all again. Thank you very much. We are hereby adjourned.